Episode 99, still in the Nile, kinda. We're looking at the Nile Monitor lizard. I say kinda because while they live throughout the Nile River, they literally live anywhere in Africa that isn't a straight-up desert. Known scientifically as Varanus nileoctis, it just means Nile Monitor. It goes by many different names all throughout Africa, but for time's sake, we're not going to go through all of them. Though before I get too far into this, I found something interesting regarding to their genealogy. There is another monitor lizard known as Varanus stellatus in the West African jungles and surrounding savannas, known as the West African Nile Monitor. Many scientists believe it to only be a subspecies, but genetic testing continues to show the animal split from the main Nile Monitor species 7.7 million years ago. That is about 1 million years before the divergence of humans and chimps. This has led to many other scientists to consider it its own species, and I do have to agree. So, when you look at the map of where they're from, it's debated. But, since we're already on the topic of evolution, let's go back to the beginning. The oldest Varanus fossil dates back 90 million years ago in Asia. This means that the monitor family had been well established by the late Cretaceous period. Surviving God's fifth game reset, the monitor would spread all throughout the southern hemisphere around 20 million years ago. Some tried to make their way into North America, but that really didn't go well, as the only species of Varanus family making their way to the New World would be the animal known as Saniwa, which would have been actually really cool if it survived, being known to have 4 eyes and an insanely long tail. Unfortunately, they would go extinct roughly 40 million years ago, but the Nile Monitor would eventually pick up where their Saniwa ancestors left off, but this time they came from the other side of America. Yes, like so many other animals, the Nile Monitor was unfortunately introduced to the Everglades by the infamous Florida Man, and is a massive goddamn issue, as they love to eat the eggs of a lot of the native species. And while you may think this is something that shouldn't be an issue, seeing how the native species like alligator really shouldn't have a problem snapping them in half, well, you'd be partially correct. An adult alligator would absolutely slaughter a Nile Monitor, that is, if they could only catch the damn things, as monitors are far more nimble than alligators and have an advantage on land. In addition, monitors can reach sizes of 6, 7, and even at extremes, 8 feet long, and weigh roughly 30 pounds, and at their largest, 44. This gives monitors a blatant size advantage for the first 3 years of an alligator's life before they start to, firstly, just become too big to hunt, before flipping the predatory table on the smaller lizards. This is why, since 2021, the state of Florida has allowed unlicensed and unrestricted hunting of monitors. Now, it is important to note the reason they made their way to Florida is the exotic pet trade. Unlike, however, many other animals, this isn't a part of the illegal pet trade. Mostly. Though monitors are not easy animals to own, and Niles are very well known to be the meanest motherfuckers of the half-baked Argonians, so I'd personally not recommend getting one. If you are dead set, at least get an Asian monitor, which I end up talking a little bit about in its own video right here. And as for culture, outside of pets, what are we looking at? Because, well, specifically, nothing overly specific. Don't get me wrong, most African cultures at least have the monitor in their worldview. It's just nothing over the top. Usually they're seen as water spirits that guard rivers, lakes, ponds, such and such. They're also used to tell the health of any given river, as a polluted river won't be able to sustain their exponential growth. If you ever had a breeding pair in the game, you know what I mean. It is also thought that the Egyptian god Sobek, a god of fertility and military success, though the god of crocodiles, is sometimes seen in some cults to lump monitors in under his domain. As with all animals with ancient understandings, however, the Nile Monitor is seen to have a role in traditional medicine. Some cultures believe with its fat being able to be a remedy for earaches. I don't know how that logic works, but a lot of traditional medicine doesn't have a lot of logic to it, let's be real. And last but not least, in the nation of Senegal, the Nile Monitor is used as the symbol of the maternal line of the Diouf family. Now, I never heard of them until I did research for this video. Apparently, they're one of the oldest royal families of the region, whose line started in the 11th century and hadn't properly ended until 2004. But many of their descendants are still alive to this day around the world. So, with all that said and done, that's all I really got for you. Episode 100, I've got something planned, and, well, hopefully it turns out well. I guess, my viewer retention will really dictate whether or not it is, but that's for next week. So, I hope you had a good New Year, and until next time, go outside, touch grass, hug your loved ones, drink water. Bye-bye.